यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य
ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्म विद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंशऋषभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः सर्वोपप्लवरहित प्रज्ञान घन प्रत्यगर्थो ब्रह्माहमस्मि सोहमस्मि ब्रह्माहमस्मि। ओम प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। May the Almighty Sri Lord Venkateshwara bestow all kinds of prosperity, health, wealth and eternal happiness with Paripurna Lakshmi Katakshams to you and the entire your family and friends. Let us begin Bhagavad Gita, verse number 24 of 13th chapter. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha ध्यानेन आत्मनि पश्यन्ति केचिदात्मानम् आत्मनाम् अन्ये सांख्येन योगेन कर्मयोगेन चापरे. Bhagavan Krishna explained the benefit of Atma Jnanam in the last verse. Verse number 23 describes what kind of benefits one can get after attaining knowledge. In the first line, Bhagavan says, Yaha एवं पुरुषंच प्रकृतिंच गुणैः सह वेति सर्वथा वर्तमानोपि सह भूयः न अभिजायते. So exactly the Jivan Mukta Avastha is explained here. What exactly Jivan Mukta Avastha is? The Mukta Avastha, a state of liberation. Jivan Mukta Avastha, while living itself, to enjoy the liberation. What is the big deal in it? This Jnana Phalam is a unique and peculiar. One can enjoy after knowledge, after attaining the knowledge. The knowledge of what? The knowledge of Supreme. The knowledge in which equation is said. That is Jiva Brahma Aikya Jnanam. Instead of saying Jiva Brahma Aikya Jnanam, we can also say Jiveshwara Aikya Bhavaha. The equation between the collective consciousness and the individual consciousness. That knowledge, when it is realized, assimilated, at that time, the person can enjoy the benefit. What does that benefit mean? Complete liberation. Though he is endowed with body, mind and sense. The nature of the body is to give bondage. Now what exactly bondage is? The bondage is a state of suffering. Or the bondage means which brings all kinds of limitations. Now limitations from the standpoint of physical sense, the limitation from the standpoint of psychological sense. Sense itself psychological, but physical sense means, so your body won't allow you to see or listen or feel or taste beyond a limitation. Therefore we call it physical limitation. Though physical limitation continues, but it won't cause for suffering. Because the person who has realized Brahma Jnanam, he has withdrawn himself from this Sharira. The connection may remain, the connection will be like what? Lotus in the water. He may own body, but he won't be affected by the limitation of the body. Because he will distinguish the difference between Satyam and Anityam. Nityam and Anityam. So this distinction which he got from Brahma Jnanam, therefore he can live in unlimited aspect with limited body or being in limited body. Now Sharira won't become a kind of barrier or a kind of tool to bring suffering. He will enjoy Navadvare Pure Dehi. Being in the body itself, he enjoys the life. And body will continue till his prarabdha is on. What exactly the prarabdha is? Due to certain amount of karma phala, this birth is being undertaken by that special jiva. So jiva means this individual consciousness, or consciousness which is limited, which is endowed with limitation due to body, mind, essence. That limitation is broken, but that physical sense of limitation, may it continues. May it continue, but it won't affect, because the karma phala is jadam. Jadam means what? That is inert material. That inert material won't have the capacity to limit consciousness, material or principle. Therefore, the person who has understood or who has realized or who has identified himself with the collective consciousness cannot be bound by this inert material. Avidya karyam, maya karyam loses the capacity to bind or limit or to give suffering to the person who has understood he is nothing but consciousness, that collective consciousness. That's what happened. But it won't be visible outside. He will look very normal like others, but his vyavahara, his transaction will set a different dimension. Whoever deals with him in the transaction level, they will get blessings like they get from Ishvara. He will become Ishvara, but he won't proclaim that I am Ishvara. Everybody should do namaskara to me. That he won't say, but the Ishvara Sankalpa will work through him. He won't be born again. After knowledge, the all Sanchita karma is burnt, and Prarabdha karma, it seems to be continuing. There won't be any Agami karma. We have seen already the Prayojana of Jnanam is to convert all karma phala into ash. Bhasmasat kurute Arjuna. Bhasmasat means it will convert into ash. This is like an arrow which is shot from the bow, which is to reach the target. In between, the arrow is burnt. So only the form remains, but that arrow is converted into ash. When it hits the target cannot be penetrated or it won't get any hurt. The travel will be completed, but the target will remain as it were before. I mean, the body will go up to the Prarabdha karma phala level. After Prarabdha karma ends, the travel yatra will finish. That's what meaning we have to take from verse number 23. And you know, this is a unique meaning, nowhere it is said. So he lives like a normal people, but he is not normal. He becomes extraordinary, even he becomes Ishvara. Why? Because that Ishvaratvam comes to him. And Ishvaratvam means godliness. So he will be living like a living God. That word can be used, but he won't say that I am God. Okay, the next verse, which we began in the last session itself. Dhyanen atmani pashyanti kechidatmanam atmana anye sankhena yogena karma yogena chapare anye tveva majanantah shrutvanyebhya upasate tepi chatitaranthyeva mrityam shruti parayanaha. Now we have to remember the benefit which was explained in the last words. It doesn't seem to be effective full. because we are attracted towards a worldly materialistic goal. Will it give a power to me to fly? Will it give a power to understand what exists in others' mind? May I get power to become extraordinary jiva? Or will I able to read about future, or will I able to come to know which happens far from me? Will I get any kind of mystic power? My dear, you have to be very careful with this kind of goals. In the beginning itself, we have seen Purushartha Nishchaya. If your mind is carried away by these kind of benefits, it means you are still in the beginning level alone. There are 4 human goals which were introduced in the beginning, in the first chapter itself. There alone I told the first effort or the big human goal is to get security, because we are born with insecurity. The Sharira or mind and buddhi, they are endowed with insecurity. They are meant to give, they have to rise a kind of insecurity within us, because the product of karma, a karya, the effect of karma, which is endowed with ajnana. Now we have be very clear. Now we have to be very clear, because that the goal which is selected by the people who are endowed with ajnana cannot be ultimate goal. That ultimate goal should be fixed by a mind which is not victimized by ajnana. Therefore, this final goal, which is known as moksha, that was selected by great rishis. They found there is a goal for humanity. That goal never changes. Maybe after even a millennium, the goal will remain as ultimate goal alone. The seeking for security cannot be the ultimate goal, because seeking for security through karma products, it won't reach, it won't be achieved. Therefore, the seeking for security becomes completed, or it ends after getting Brahmajnana. Then the next step, which was introduced as seeking for pleasure. The pleasure which we expect is unlimited. But when we make effort to get pleasure from the worldly object, they are only eligible to give limited pleasures. The happiness, that complete happiness cannot be achieved. Now this security and pleasure is the motto, main goal for a human being. Then Shastra introduces one more goal, is dharma. So dharma also is limited, because that which is in the form of karma. The karma which fructifies punya is known as dharma. It can also won't bring the ultimate goal, but it will give yogyata. If I seek my security through dharma, that seeking itself will give a maturity. By seeking knowledge alone, I will get security. That is what the knowledge which will be earned by, achieved by adapting dharma. So dharma will give the clarity. If anybody would have performed dharma for a long time, for a length of time, his mind will get a clarity. That clarity won't seek for mystic experiences, mystic powers. So mystic power means what? Again, I would like to boast my ego alone. If I fly, I will be very happy, because other people will become shocked by seeing me flying. But for how many days I can maintain that, that uniqueness among the people? After a few months, people will, realize, if at all they are inviting for a party, they will ask you to fly to the place. They will say, just you please come flying over there. That's what. Any mistakes, it becomes a normal phenomenon in this world. Therefore, the benefit which was said in the verse number 23, it is the ultimate goal. Your mind may not understand the importance of that, but that is the ultimate goal. Bhagavan, he gives a proper infrastructures in order to bring the importance of that ultimate goal in seeker's mind. He gives 5 steps infrastructures how he gave in the Bhakti Yoga. The total spiritual process. What I mean to say, that seeking for ultimate goal, it is said to be spiritual sadhana. The journey of spiritual sadhana, which completes or which ends with Atma Jnana, is inspired by these 2 verses, 24 and 25. So these 2 verses give a complete picture of sadhana. Let us learn that 5 steps from our aspects. Then we will go into these verses. So we can say that there are 5 stages of sadhanas, which is said to remove 5 kinds of obstacles. Okay, the first one which we saw in the Bhakti Yoga itself, Karma Yoga, action based. So everything is action, but gross action is known as karma. The action based sadhana, what is that? Karma Yoga. A spiritual seeker should adapt Karma Yoga in the beginning stage is to get a purity of mind. Now, impurity, dirt, which is existing in our mind, won't allow you to see the goals with clarity. It doesn't have the capacity to see which is going to be the ultimate goal. The clarity about goal won't be there with the mind which is occupied with mala. Mala means dirt. So what are it is called mala? Likes and dislikes. Raga, dvesha, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. So all these malas, it is said as a mala, because body has got so many diseases, but mind has got only 6 diseases. Ragadveshaha, which is said in the form of kamaha. Kamaha means likes and dislikes. Then krodhaha, anger. Then kama krodha mohaha, delusion. All these are dirt of a mind. The mind is to be cleaned by what? By adapting Karma Yoga. So now Karma Yoga means we have to take the support of the first portion of Vedas, are known as Karma Kanda, in which there are so many karmas are introduced. Those karmas will help us to clean our own mind. But we should set Yajna Bhavana. That we learned from first few chapters. Chapter number 3, 4, 5, it said how to bring Yajna Bhavana. So then how can I set a karma into dharma? This is what was taught in those 3 chapters. That Karma Yoga becomes the first step. So that first stage of sadhana which removes mala. Mala nivrti is the benefit. So removal of impurity from our own mind is the first benefit, means the benefit of first stage. Then the second stage is what? Now the mind gets the subtlety. Mind can think and work with the subtle world and subtle aspects. What is that subtle world and subtle aspects? The mind which is endowed with gross things, it is attracted by, victimized by gross materials. There are people who wants to eat a lot. They are victimized by overeating. The gross mind. The person who becomes very attractive with the worldly materials, maybe like all kinds of pendants, I mean jewels, cars, means a gross material like a house and pens, mobile, these are all gross things. And people who are victimized by subtlest things like music, so-called intellectual people or intelligent people, they are attracted with music or kind of maths or arguments. So they are very subtle and they are research oriented people. They are even interested to come to know about the surga, naraka and all. The subtlety, they are a little bit ahead, means subtler than the previous people. The mind of those people has to be cleaned and set with gold. It is known as Vikshepa. Vikshepa means what? The mind which goes always towards outside and it catch holds the subtle things. Wandering mind, or we can say extrovertedness or restlessness. A mind which doesn't have stability. The stability is the big gift. If a mind which is having stability, then that mind is known as Ekagrata Chittam. Patanjali introduces there are 5 kinds of Chitta Bhumi: Kshipta, Vikshipta, Moodha, Ekagra, Niruddha Chitta Bhumayaha. So these 5 kinds of the stages of human mind is said by Patanjali Maharishi in Patanjali Yoga. He says mind which is endowed with Vikshepa means wanderingness. Wandering mind. The mind which is endowed with outgoing nature. That mind won't have stability. The mind which is endowed with delusion. The mind which is endowed with focusing capacity. The mind which is endowed with complete tranquility. So these 5 kinds of minds alone we can find among the people. Among those 5 kinds of mind, Ekagratam is a suitable mind for spiritual progress. Now this mind is endowed with fluctuation. The mind which is fluctuated needs to go for sadhana. That sadhana is which is in the form of second stage known as upasana. So we have seen Ekarupa Upasana and Anekarupa Upasana, which is given in the form of 7th chapter, 9th chapter and 10th chapter and even 11th chapter. That is the second stage. Okay, Ekarupa Upasana or Anekarupa Upasana means worshipping God in a particular form. The benefit of worshipping that what? Bahirmukha Nivritti. That fluctuation of mind is removed. The mind becomes accompanied with the tranquility. That mind alone is suitable for spiritual activity. Then the third stage is what? The third stage, the person who is endowed with the mind which is endowed with the tranquility goes for or suitable for Vedanta Shravanam. That is the third stage. So this stage was not introduced by the 12th chapter. There we said Arupa Upasana. That Arupa Upasana is divided into 3 technical terms here because we are in the 13th chapter. So what is that? The third stage is Vedanta Shravanam. Vedanta Shravanam means what? Shravanam means a proper teaching endowed with Guru. Okay. Now proper teaching of what? Proper teaching of Vedas. Listening Vedas, receiving Vedas with a proper attitude, with the mind which is surrendered to Shastra and Guru. That is known as Vedanta Shravanam. By having this sadhana, this is a proper sadhana, this is a very serious sadhana. This Shravanam will help, means exploring the knowledge of Vedanta will help a person to drive his darkness away from his mind. Ajnana Nivritti. Now, when you study Vedanta under a proper Guru who comes from the lineage, that Guru will remove your darkness. Guru will remove your darkness means by imparting the knowledge with the help of Shastra about you. Okay, by imparting knowledge about you with the help of Shastra. Then what? The darkness of ourself will be removed by Guru. Ajnana timirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurun militam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Guru removes the darkness of ourself with the help of Shastra. It means what? When he teaches, I can remove my own ajnana. The ajnana is removed by what? Vedanta Shravanena. Now, Vedanta Shravanena ajnana nivrittihi syat. That elimination of ajnanam is the benefit by the third stage of upasana. It is known as Shravanam, Vedanta Shravanam, not upasana. Which is called Shravanam, is a third stage. Then what about the fourth stage? Mananam. So Mananam means what? Once you receive the knowledge of Vedanta, then your mind will work. Your mind will inquire and it will also compare with personal experience and the knowledge which is given by Vedanta. So when Vedanta talks about me, when it talks about my Sharira, when it divides my Sharira into 3 or into 5, into so many various aspects, then the mind will confirm it, that it will inquire, it will undergo a kind of a period of time which is endowed in, doubt clearing part. Clearing all kinds of doubts. So doubt means what? When there is a doubt. So while studying Vedanta, if you find the doubt, that doubt is to be removed either by inquiring the Shastra more, or you have to seek the help of Guru. With the help of Guru, the doubts become clear. This Manana is the fourth stage through which doubts will be cleared. Okay, the samshaya nivritti. Samshaya means what? Doubts which is in the form of intellectual obstacles. Therefore, removal of intellectual obstacles becomes very important benefit of a spiritual seeker. Then the final stage is what? Nididhyasanam. Nididhyasanam means meditation. This meditation is not the meditation which was introduced by 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. This meditation is after attaining knowledge. This meditation is unique. The nishtha, the lifestyle which is endowed with Nididhyasanam, it's very unique. The benefit of is to remove viparita bhavana, or to remove vasanas. Vasana nivritti, viparita bhavana nivritti, which is the finest benefit of a Vedanta text or the knowledge of Vedanta. That we will see elaborately in the next session tomorrow. Harihi Om. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavachishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.